Hi everybody, this is Everyday Commentary, and this is a video overview of this knife. This is the Spyderco Smallfly. It is a balisong style knife, and it has a couple of interesting Spyderco, unique to Spyderco touches. First, the handle scales are sort of green or olive drab, and then the blade inside, it looks like it's a spear point blade, but it's only sharpened on one side. There's a false swedge that sort of helps even out the weight, makes it a better piercer. But the first thing that you'll notice is that the locking latch is spring-loaded, and that allows you to open the knife relatively easily. Here it rides on, as you can see, bronze washers, and the swinging and pivoting action on this knife are very, very smooth. The knife runs 154 cm steel, which is a really good steel. I actually like it. I've had some bad experiences in the past, but here recently it's always been very good. It has a pocket clip, a wire pocket clip. Allows you to clip this knife to your pants, although I will note that when you do that, it kind of clips unevenly. It feels sort of like a multi-tool clip in your pocket. Note that the spring catch does not lock in the open position as it does on many traditional balisong type knives. There's some jimping here, and the jimping allows you to get a good purchase on the knife, although I'm not exactly sure why they have jimping on the blade side. There's more jimping. Here's the false swedge, as you can see. Additionally, the stop pins here, they look like they're produced of the same steel. They might not be, but if they are, it's a nice upgrade over the traditional brass or pot tin stop pins on traditional balisong style knives. One of the things you'll notice is that there's two holes here at the bottom of the handle, and those holes are actually not just something that lets you know that it's a Spyderco, because all Spydercos have to have holes, but it also lets you do some of the more Spyderco-centric balisong style flipping. So this knife has very similar size proportions to the Balio, which is a pen that Spyderco sells that is basically a trainer for balisong style knives. And the balisong, or the Balio, has holes in the bottom that allow you to grip it and use it to manipulate the knife. So you can fold it up and then switch and do things like that. It'll run through a full cycle or rotation if you hold it correctly using these holes. It also allows you to open the knife. This gives you a different layer of opening, deployment, and trick possibilities on a balisong. Normally, most of the tricks on a balisong are done by manipulating the handles, usually rolling the handle and then opening the knife while rolling the handle. By giving you these two pinch points down here, it adds another layer of complexity. It also helps you learn how to do tricks, because you can do the tricks using just these end holes much easier than you can doing the handle rolling tricks. And so because it's available on the Balio and the proportions are almost exactly the same on the Smallfly, you can transition pretty easily from opening this knife quickly, from using the Balio to opening this knife quickly. If you notice here, there's holes here, and that'll allow the latch to switch sides, so that if you're a lefty, you can make this knife work as well. One thing that you'll notice is that these handles are relatively squared off. They're not perfectly square, which would be really bad. They do have some slight chamfering. But in a traditional balisong, you'll get almost completely rounded handles. And that allows you to roll or manipulate the knife while doing different kinds of openings or tricks with the knife. Here, it's not quite as seamless. However, I will note that as the knife comes down, or as the handle comes down, you can see that it kind of undulates in and out. And these points here are much thinner, and it allows it to be manipulated almost exactly like a normal balisong. The other thing that happens is because there's space here, when the knife closes, your fingers don't get pinched as much as they would on a normal traditional balisong. The final thing that I would note about this knife is that in the open position, there is no lock. There's nothing that holds this knife open. There's nothing that locks it except your hand. And as you can see, you can kind of put a little bit of pressure on the knife, and you can get it to really lock open. in a traditional ballet song, what will happen is the handles will almost meet, and then that last little bit of tension that actually sort of bends the handles a little bit and lets you latch it, that's what keeps the knife open. And here there is nothing like that. So this knife is a radical departure from a traditional ballet song in a number of different ways, but I found it to be pretty effective. It's relatively light. It cuts well, which is surprising. Most ballet songs, it's almost like the cutting is the last thing that they think about. This cuts very well. There's a nice secondary bevel, and here the actual cutting bevel is quite wide, making it a very steep approach, giving you a nice slicing action. These knives are really hard to find. There were some legal snafus that happened when they were released, and so they didn't get released in a ton of numbers. And when they do get released over the internet, they're usually sprint runs. There's a blue version of the Smallfly, and then there's this version, the green version of the Smallfly. I think there was probably originally a black version. I'll note that the production runs, the original production runs, they were not very well received by ballet song fans because they didn't have the fit and finish that is normally associated with the Spyderco. But this model, the model that I have, the fit and finish is superb. There's no real wiggle at the pivots or the joints here, even though the joints are incredibly smooth and they just roll through the action. That's one of the things that I was really impressed with. My friend who has handmade ballet songs, even they are not as smooth as the action on this, and I think that's probably attributable to the phosphor bronze bushings, or the phosphor bronze washers. I also like the fact that it's not sharpened on both sides, because that allows you to do a lot more opening, so you can, do the classic opening, have it hit your hand and open up. Overall, I really like the Smallfly. If I was to start collecting or carrying a ballet song, unfortunately I can't carry it in the state I live in. I can own it, I can't carry it. If I were to start, this would probably be the starter ballet song, because the opening handles here allow you to transition from the balayo really easily. It's a nice small size, it's a 3-inch blade. It carries well in the pocket, even though most ballet songs don't have pocket clips, this one does. And I like the overall look of it. The skeletonized handle scales give it a different, unique look, although it still echoes the original hole designs that the Filipino ballet songs have. It's a great knife, and if you can find one and it's legal to carry, I'd recommend picking one up. I will be giving this knife away. I'll post a review of the knife on Friday, and then you'll see how to get it there. And unfortunately, because of the legality issues, I'm not going to be able to give it away over the internet. I have to give it away in person. But this is an overview of the Spyderco Smallfly ballet song knife.